Hey guys, it's Sarah with knitwithsarah.com, and we are back for session 3 of the Ravelry Masterclass, where I am going to clue you into all my secrets about how I work through the site as far as saving patterns, where I put things so I can find them easily, and all that kind of stuff. If you're just joining us and you haven't watched session 1 or 2 yet, I will put a link up in the upper right hand corner and in the description box below, so you can check out session 1, where I go over the profile and initial setup when you first log into Ravelry, and in session 2, where I go over pattern searching and tagging. In session 3 today, I said I'm going to clue you in to all my Ravelry secrets. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm logged into my own profile right now. If you are not friends with me on Ravelry, please find me. My name is Sarah Fullerton on Ravelry. I'd love to be friends with you. I also have a Ravelry group, Knit with Sarah. You can search for that. I'd love to have you in my group as well. So let's say, okay. So to start out, I like to think of my organizational system as in terms of buckets. So I have 3 buckets. I have a big bucket, a medium bucket, and a small bucket. So every single thing I save on Ravelry goes into my largest bucket, and that big bucket is my favorites tab. And I've gone over that in more detail in session 2. So if you're curious about how I utilize the favorites, go ahead and hit back to session 2. So like I said, my favorites is my largest bucket. Everything that I want to have access to, I have saved there. And then from that large bucket, I pluck things out of there to the medium bucket, which is the queue. So when I'm looking for a new pattern that I think I want to work on next, I will take it from the I will take it out of the favorites and put it into the queue. So I'm kind of weeding out what I think I might want to do next. That is also in the queue where I kind of section out things for like Christmas knitting and that kind of stuff. Like all the patterns I want to knit for Christmas, I can pluck out and put that in the queue so they're easily accessible. And then from the queue, they go to the projects tab. Now, the projects tab is where I only keep stuff that I'm currently knitting. It's either currently on the needles or it's a finished project. Nothing else goes in projects. There's a little icon that says cast on. I don't click that unless I'm actively in real life casting it on. That allows me to be very organized on the website, because things can get really out of hand if you don't have a solid approach to what you're doing. So just a quick review. Anything and everything goes into the favorites. That's the biggest bucket, big bucket of favorites. I don't really weed out that much at all. If it appeals to me at all, if I think it's cool, it goes right in the favorites. From that big pile of stuff, I pluck out of that bucket into the queue, which is the medium-sized bucket. That's where my super favorite things go. That's where my next projects are going to go. And then from the queue, the queue says they're waiting in line, so they're waiting in line to end up in the projects tab. So let me go over a couple examples to show you how I go about doing that. So for patterns, I'll show you the next design I want to make is Andrea Maui's Free Your Fade. See, it's already, that little heart right there means that it's already saved in my favorites. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it. It's going to tell me that, okay, that's already in your favorites. So we're already ahead a step. So that's wonderful. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to my favorites. Just for the sake of this example, we're going to go to my favorites, and I'm going to find that design in my favorites. Oh, out of my, okay. Let me show you what happened. So when I see how it says no bundles matching, that's because I had the bundles selected. So I know the Free or Fade, that's the name of the pattern. That's not the name of the bundle. So that's why that showed up as it's not matching, just to clarify that. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the favorites. And then, okay, so I could type it in again, but here she is right here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. So now we know that this pattern, it's checked, it's in my favorites, it is in my largest bucket. So from there, I'm going to add it to the queue because now I'm going to move it ahead a step. So I'm going to add it to the queue. Now when I add things to the queue, this window will pop up where I can add details if I know them. This one I'm not really sure what yarn I'm going to use yet, so I'm going to leave these blank. But if you had yarn in mind, if you wanted to use yarn from your stash, you can select it from there. If you want to add tags to the project, you can do it right from this window. Kind of saves you a step on the back end. All right, so I'm going to hit save. And then I'm going to go to my queue. And I'm going to see it there. Now it is in my queue. Now because this is the only thing in my queue, it's automatically in the first position. If there were multiple things in my queue, they would be numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So you can move things up or down depending on how you want to order it. Like I said back when I was talking about the Christmas stuff, if you wanted to put all of your Christmas knitting in your queue, you can arrange it to which one you want to do next. Maybe you do the hardest ones first. So when Christmas is right around the corner, you've got just the really quick knits that you can just bang out really fast. It makes it very easy because then if you have that set up on the front end, when you log in, you go right to the queue, you go, okay, this is the one I'm going to do next, boom, and you're already ready to go. Okay, so it tells me when it was added to the queue, which is nice. So here I will hold it here until I'm ready to actually cast on the project. So when I'm ready to cast it on, you can go right from the queue to start your project. So now this project has been started. So I'm in the process of, in real life, casting it on because we're only going to add things in here if we're actually casting it on. So from here we can edit our project. And we can add all kinds of stuff as to what we want to do. So we can name what the project is. I could name it Sarah's Free Your Fade. I could name it Sarah's Shawl. I could name it Free Your Fade Shawl for blah, 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 whoever I want to knit it for. Which is actually, you can add in this field here. So you can say, you can specify who you're making it for, if you're making it for yourself or somebody else. What size you're knitting. The pattern name is already populated in there. What the craft is, what the tags are. You can put what needles you're using, which is really helpful for later on. If you, let's say you knit a project and then 3 years later one of your friends asks you about it, you can log right back in and say, oh yeah, I actually had to go down a needle size and I knit this in a size 6 even though the pattern calls for a size 7. So very helpful. And then you can save all of this stuff when you're done. And then when you go to your project tab, the project will be listed right here in your projects. So you can see this one, because we didn't save anything, it's untitled with no feature photo. But if I go ahead and click on it, it will pull up that this was the Free or Fade that I had used for this example. So I hope that was helpful for you. I hope that this workflow system will work well for you. I encourage you to give it a try. You can tweak things to make it your own. If you have any comments or ways that you think that I could improve it, things that helpful tips and tricks that you have found along the way, I would love for you to share them with me so we can learn from each other. You can give me a shout out on social media. I'm on Instagram at knitwithsarah. I'm on Twitter at knitwithsarah, and I have a Facebook page, Knit with Sarah. You can also send me an email to hello@knitwithsarah.com. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and I'm excited to move on to our stash and needles and hooks tabs in the next masterclass. Until then, talk to you later.